Hello everyone, it's Eric from Yankee Traders here. You may have been watching the news recently and you may have thought about, inflation is going to be a really big problem. And you might be right about that. So if you want to hedge against inflation, you might have thought about a way to invest in precious metals. I personally think the most affordable option is silver. If you want to buy silver, one of the best is real hard physical silver, not some ETF, not some fund. You want the real stuff. And if you don't know anything about precious metals, it could be a little bit confusing. You don't know where to buy, what to get. But I'm going to cover all of that today, and I'm going to do the very best that I can to bring you all of the knowledge that I have that can help you be an informed buyer so that you can get what you need. But before we get to that, please like, share, subscribe, click the notification bell. Please leave a comment down below. I love to hear what you think. It helps me improve my videos, and I love to interact with you. So without further ado, let's get to it. In this video, I will cover some fun facts about silver money, what physical silver you can buy, what you should pay for physical silver, which physical silver products you should buy, does fineness matter, what size coins and or bars you should get, where to buy physical silver, where you can keep your silver, and the case for junk silver. Some fun facts about silver money. Governments used to mint silver coins as a way to circulate money so that we could pass around and exchange it for goods and services. This goes as far back as the Roman Empire, but it was also used by other cultures all around the world, including the Chinese. This is such a part of Chinese culture, in fact, that their word for bank, yinhang, literally means place where you store silver. There is a rich tradition of using silver as currency in other parts of the world too, such as Great Britain. The Great Britain pound referred to pound of silver not too long ago, maybe a little more than a century ago. The United States also started this tradition of using silver as a type of currency that circulates because during the Revolutionary War, the paper money printed by the Continental Congress pretty much lost all value, so people would use and exchange the Spanish peso, the Spanish dollar, and that's where we get the name dollar. And because people believe in the value of silver, this was still used well into the 1960s as the US Mint would create dimes, quarters, half dollars, and silver dollars. And until 1964, dimes and quarters and half dollars used to be made of 90% silver. Today, the world's largest producer of silver is Mexico, followed by Peru. What physical silver can you buy? If you're interested in buying physical silver, there are so many products that you can get, but you should get what suits you. There's a lot to choose from. You get what you like. Many governments from around the world create silver coins and bars so that they could be sold as investment products. They used to create silver to mint money for circulation, but now they do this as a way to make money, selling it to investors who want to protect against the unknown and uncertain. The most popular silver coins you can get are the US Silver Eagle, which is 3/9 fine silver, the Canadian Silver Maple Leaf, which is 4/9 fine silver. For those unfamiliar with the term, if something is 99.9% silver, we call it 3/9 fine silver. If something is 99.99% fine silver, we call it 4/9 fine silver, and so on. The Silver Britannia, which is 3/9 fine silver. The Australian Silver Kookaburra, koala, or kangaroo, all of which are 4/9 fine silver, the Austrian Philharmonic, which is 3/9 fine silver, the South African Silver Krugerrand, which is 3/9 fine silver, the Mexican Silver Libertad, which is 3/9 fine silver, the Chinese Silver Panda, which is 3/9 fine silver. What would you pay for physical silver? Silver is priced off of the price that you get off of the commodities exchange. And the price that you see is supposed to be the price that you pay, but that's only on the exchange. The real price of silver is the price that you pay from the person who sells it to you. This could be an online retailer, a coin shop, or an individual one-on-one, but the price that you pay includes a premium because the seller also needs to eat. You want to pay the lowest possible premium you can find. The true price is what you pay, and you want to pay less to have more, because if you are trying to acquire physical assets, then you obviously want to have more of them. Let's say you want to spend $10,000 on silver and the spot price is around $22 per ounce. If you buy silver at $30 per ounce, then you would only have 333 ounces of silver, but if you pay $25 per ounce, then you would get 400 ounces of silver, which gives you 20% more silver. What physical silver products should you buy? You should buy whatever physical silver products carry the lowest possible premium. You want to pay less for the silver that you buy so that this way you could buy more of it, and this way over time you are able to build up and acquire a lot more silver that way. If you live in the United States, then there are advantages to buying US Silver Eagles and US Junk Silver. For one, you can add these to an IRA tax-free as per US code 408M3, and the other is that there is a potential for lower sales tax and how the sale of these items are required to be reported. You can keep everything in a retirement account and then sell from a retirement account, and your tax consequences would be that of a normal capital gains rate of 15% and not like the collectible rate of 28%. This would hold true for some other coins as well, possibly the Canadian maple leaf, but you should confirm this first. In some states, such as Florida, when you buy retail through a vendor not for retirement purposes, there is no sales tax on anything deemed legal tender or currency. That means that you can buy a roll of silver quarters and pay no sales tax. Other states, such as New York, charge sales tax on the purchase of precious metals if the sale is less than $1,000. In some states, selling a foreign currency, such as a Silver Britannia or Austrian Philharmonic, can carry some tax consequences, reporting requirements, and holding requirements by the dealer. Like, they might not be able to sell it immediately, they might have to wait 30 days holding on to it before they're able to sell it. That is why US Silver Eagles are expensive. Everyone in the United States wants them because they are the easiest to sell, and many people find them to be advantageous to have and well worth the premium. The point is, you should do some research to find out what is the best thing to buy in your local area. You should always buy what is best recognized where you are so that you have an easier time selling your silver if you ever needed to, or that you may pay lower taxes on the sale of it. As an American, I can't really say how the rules work elsewhere because I honestly don't know, but I do know that laws and rules do exist and you should follow the law. I personally like to buy some Silver Eagles every year, and when I get a certain amount, this past year it was like 100 or so Silver Eagles, I like to expand and get other things that look more appealing. Generally, I only buy coins that are backed by governments because I want it to be widely recognized and easy to sell. There are many privately minted rounds like these 1/10 ounce silver rounds that are very beautiful, but they're also very expensive and not widely as recognized as, let's say, junk silver previously minted by the US government. They are about the same size of a US silver dime, but the silver dime is more recognized and it will be easier to sell in the future anywhere you go in the world, and also if you want to buy it, the premium is lower. I could rant about silver for days, literally, because it's something I like to talk about. So if you want me to do that, please let me know in the comments. But I have to let you know about something that you should not buy, and that is numismatic coins. You should not buy numismatic coins. A numismatic coin is something that carries more of a collectible value and less of an actual physical metal value like you would get with brilliant uncirculated coins. The reason why this is an issue is because it is less liquid and more difficult to sell. Now, I've heard stories from people who have bought US Silver Eagles, brilliant uncirculated, in the 90s, and they were able to sell it for more than a 5 times return on investment from what they originally paid for it. And compare that to the US Silver Eagle proof coins or reverse proof or whatever it is that they have as a numismatic coin. Usually these things will be called proof coins. They're very beautiful and shiny and nice. I've heard of people getting 7 times return on investment as opposed to 5 times return, but these are much less liquid and much more difficult to sell. I personally don't think that that's a good idea, because when you're trying to buy silver, you're trying to buy the actual silver content like you see here, or here, or the other stuff that I show you. But if you want to get something to start a collection, that is a whole other story. There is a wide variety of things to choose from, but it's something you need to know. I can't advise you on that. It's something that people do, and people do make money off of it, but it's for a different reason. I would just say that I personally don't recommend it, but other people do. It's a regular thing that happens. But I want to illustrate this with an example. See, in the mid-1990s, I remember when Pokemon was a big thing, and in 1998, 1999, Pokemon cards were huge. Like, everybody had them. And I remember that the original Charizard card cost $25 because that was the rarest card. It was the most difficult to find. So you could look for that now, but it costs thousands of dollars. And that's a great idea of something that you could buy and sell, something that you could save for later as an investment to then sell at a higher price. But if you want to put things in perspective, the card costs thousands of dollars, but the paper it's printed on is less than a cent worth of paper. Does fineness matter? You might be wondering if the percentage of silver in the coin or bar you purchase matters. The short answer is no. The value of what you have will be calculated based on the percentage of the weight that is silver. It does not matter if something is 3/9 fine or 4/9 fine, as long as it is what it says it is. If you are buying junk silver, then a lot of times that will sell for a multiple of the face value. So in that case, it will take $1.40 to make an ounce of silver, and if it sells for 20 times face value, then it sells for $28 per ounce. It comes down to personal preference. I would avoid anything that's not US junk silver, or maybe the Canadian equivalent, which is 80% silver, and also less than 3/9 fine because it will be harder to find a buyer. If you have a lot of sterling silverware, which is 92.5% silver, with the remaining being copper, then you might not get spot price for it. Aside from having to test the purity, the buyers will have fewer places to whom they can sell, and they may end up getting only spot price when they sell it to a refiner. If the pawn shop or dealer to whom you sell must sell to a refiner, then you will not likely get spot price because they will only receive spot price themselves. As far as any silver, which is 3/9 fine or 4/9 fine, that does not really matter. The thing that matters most is buying a recognizable product. A Canadian silver maple leaf is 4/9 fine silver, but a US silver eagle is only 3/9 fine silver. Both products are highly desired. The US silver eagle more so, but each of them is more desired than this 1 ounce Silvertown bar, which I got from Bullion, which is 3/9 fine. So in short, fineness does not really matter, but wide recognition does. It sort of works the same way as with generic medicine purchased at Dollar Tree versus the brand name. The name makes it easier to sell, but buying it is more expensive. What size coins and or bars should you get? The most common weight denominations of silver are 1 ounce coins, rounds, and bars, and 10 ounce bars. Though there are 2 ounce coins, bars, and rounds, as well as 5 ounce bars, they are less common, and since they are less common, it will be harder to find a buyer. People like to buy what's popular, and there are benefits to doing that, such as recognizability, a more consistent size for easier storage, and having fewer things to worry about for tracking inventory and organizing your stash. Buying a 10 ounce bar will usually have a lower premium per ounce than a 1 ounce coin, bar, or round, but this is not always the case. Sometimes there are good deals on 1 ounce denominations, and you should get what you like, and if you are rational, then you will like what's cheaper. But to make things simple, you should buy denominations of 1 ounce or 10 ounces. They are cheaper, and they are more common. If you want to pay the lowest premiums for silver, then you may want to consider a 1 kilogram bar or 100 ounce bar. I do not recommend this unless you are restricted in storage space. A 100 ounce bar is harder to sell, so there will be fewer buyers. This would also mean that you are less likely to recoup any premium that you paid for it. These are the last things that sell. I remember in March and April of 2020, almost everything was sold out, but it was still possible to find a 100 ounce bar. That should say something about the demand for this product. I do not own a single piece of silver that weighs more than 10 ounces for this very reason. If you want to have smaller denominations of silver, then you can get fractional rounds. I think the idea here is that it is more tradable. Like if you wanted to buy a Whopper at Burger King, then how would you do that with an ounce? You might need to use a 1/4 ounce or 3/10 of an ounce to buy a Whopper, but this is not a good idea because it takes the same amount of labor to mint a 1/10 ounce piece piece of silver, a quarter-ounce piece of silver, a half-ounce piece of silver, or a 1-ounce silver round. And if you have to pay for the labor, that labor will have to be paid for each piece. As a result, these fractional rounds carry a heavy premium. You would be better off buying junk silver, which I will get into a little later in the video, but to be clear, I would advise against buying fractional ounces of silver. Where to buy physical silver? Now, when I first started buying silver, I found it really confusing because there are so many products that you can get from, and there are so many places to get silver, and there's a lot of different information. People try to sell you on one thing or another. So I'm going to tell you what works for me, from my personal experience, and the things that I like. I personally have 3 go-to places that I like to buy from online. They are JM Bullion, SD Bullion, and US Gold Bureau. JM Bullion has a great selection of products, and I also like the layout and design of their website. That makes products easier to find, and they are not that expensive, though they are not usually the cheapest. A lot of times they have products before other dealers do, and some products that may not be available on other sites, such as fractional gold Britannias. SD Bullion has a great selection of products, and a lot of times, for many things, they are the cheapest for silver. The website has a good design, though I don't like theirs as much as JM Bullion's. They have very cool silver products, such as the Truth Series coins, which I think are breathtaking. They are usually cheaper than JM Bullion, and they usually live up to their motto, the lowest price, period. Another great thing about them is their involvement in trying to educate people about finance and economics. Their social media coordinator, James Anderson, makes a weekly market update video to put out on YouTube, and they're pretty good, so you should check them out. I'll put a link to their channel in the description. US Gold Bureau is another site I recommend. They have the cheapest price on some silver products sometimes, but not always. It's definitely worth it to check out though. They don't have as big of a selection of silver as the other 2 sites I mentioned, but sometimes you find some really good deals on products such as silver maple leaves from Canada. Most of what I buy on this site is platinum because I found that they usually have the lowest premiums on platinum. One other thing that's pretty noteworthy about US Gold Bureau is that they have outstanding customer service, and I'm not kidding about this. Every time I have had a request or inquiry, they have always made an effort to help me, and I really do mean this because when they say they'll call you back, they actually call you back. Sometimes it might be a day or 2 later, but they really do call you back. That is rare and legendary customer service at this day and age, so they are definitely worth checking out. As far as buying silver online, I'll tell you 2 places I do not recommend, and that is Amazon and eBay. As far as Amazon, it's convenient, easy to find, free shipping if you have Prime, and it may be a good selection of some products. The downside is that it's very expensive. Back in 2018, before I knew anything, I bought 2 or 3 US Silver Eagles off of Amazon when the spot price was around $17 per ounce, and they cost me over $25 each simply because I did not know any better. I don't recommend buying off of eBay because it's a similar situation. You can probably find whatever you want, but it will likely be heavily marked up. If the market sells out, you will find what you want on eBay, but only if you are willing to pay through the nose to get it. For me, it does not make any sense to buy current year Silver Eagles from eBay, but it might make sense if you are trying to build a collection of something and you are missing a year. One thing I do recommend if you want to buy silver is to visit your local coin shop. My favorite coin shop is the Happy Coin. A lot of times premiums at coin shops on US Silver Eagles and US junk silver may be lower than what you can find online. The only drawback is that they tend to have some products available at any given time, but not necessarily the best selection. This is understandable because if business is booming, then business will tend to sell out of what's popular, and the last 2 years, silver has been pretty popular. One last idea you can try is to buy silver off of Craigslist. I have seen other YouTubers do it successfully, but I have not actually done this myself. I'm not recommending this, but rather just putting the idea out there. It carries its own risks, so keep that in mind if you choose to do it. If you get it right, then you can get a great buy from what I've heard, but if you get it wrong, it might not be real silver. Where you can keep your silver. This is a really important thing to consider. Silver takes up a lot of space and it's heavy. You want to see what $5,000 of silver looks like? Look over here. This is 250 ounces of silver. let me measure that for you so that you have an idea of how much space that takes up. I'll put the measurements on the screen. You don't want to keep too much of this in one place. It's best to have a few places to keep it. You want to be able to access it if you need it, but you also want it to be safe. I personally think it's good to have a safety deposit box in which you keep your silver. That doesn't mean that you should keep everything in there, but it's not a bad idea to keep something in there, or to keep some of it in there. I'm going to tell you a little bit about why it's not good to keep everything in there, and that's because at my former job, I used to seize assets on behalf of the government. If you get a levy put on your bank account, then you will not have access to your safety deposit box. They're going to lock it up. They're not going to let you have any of it until the levy is released. And if you want to be able to access it, then you might have to pay whatever that thing is. And trust me when I tell you, you don't want to keep everything in there. But I don't think it's a bad idea to keep some of it in there, because it's a lot harder to break into the bank to try to steal from a safety deposit box than it is to break into someone's house. So you have a layer of safety there. I personally don't think that you should keep all your eggs in one basket. It's good to keep everything distributed in different places if you can. Many people keep a safe and they keep silver in there. If you do that, then you have to make sure that your safe is not only too heavy to move, but also difficult to find. You can also bury your metal, but you need to make sure that no one sees you doing that. There's a reason why pirates used to bury their treasure. It makes it harder for other people to find, and if you have a good map, then you can find it yourself. If you want to avoid metal detectors though, then you need to be at least 10 feet below ground. You can try to hide it in random places around the house, in the floorboards, in the ceiling, etc. The reason why I'm saying all of these things as ideas for how to store silver is because this is like an emergency asset. Some people who save silver do so in the event that there is a huge financial disaster where the banking system collapses. It's nice to have if you're wealthy enough to store your stuff in a bunker in the Swiss Alps, but it really doesn't help you if you need the silver on you. You want security from theft, but you don't want it to be so inaccessible that you can't reach it in an emergency. In short, you don't want to be more than 30 to 60 minutes from being able to access your emergency asset if you need to sell some to buy food, trade in an emergency, or take it with you to flee to a foreign land. The case for junk silver. I want to make a special mention of junk silver because if you are new to precious metals, then you are not likely to be familiar with this. Junk silver is 90% silver that was previously minted by the US government and put into circulation as dimes, quarters, half dollars, and dollars. If you are using dimes, quarters, and half dollars, then with $1.40 of face value, like if you have 2 half dollars and 4 dimes, you make 1 ounce of silver. This is not the case for silver dollars because their weight is a bit different, but they are also 90% silver. They tend to sell as multiples of face value, so if you're selling for 20 times face value, then you are paying $28 for an ounce of silver. You can find it in most places where you can buy silver, and it is very popular. You might wonder why that is. Well, for one, it tends to have a lower premium. That has been less so in the last year, but junk silver tends to be cheap in relative terms. Another thing is that it's easy to recognize. Everyone knows what United States money looks like, and it's also well known that quarters, half dollars, and dimes minted prior to 1965 are 90% silver. Since they were previously circulated, they tend to be toned and black. Sometimes they're a bit worn out and weigh a little less than what they are supposed to, but I don't think that's much of a problem because people will generally accept what you give them, and if you're giving them a dime, they'll pretty much just treat it as a dime. Since they are widely recognized and previously circulated, it is extremely difficult to counterfeit. You don't have to worry about any of this being fake because it's hard to fake silver that's blackened, worn down, and also looks like a US coin. The cost of doing that would be less appealing than doing it with a US silver eagle or Canadian silver maple leaf. They are easy to break up into small denominations. It might be that a roll of silver quarters is worth $180 or so, but you don't have to sell the whole roll if you need cash. If you only need $30, then you might only have to sell 6 quarters rather than the whole roll. Since they are easy to break into small denominations, they are more tradable. You don't need to buy expensive silver rounds in preparation for a doomsday event where you might have to trade silver to get non-splintered quilted toilet paper. You can just use junk silver. It works very well as money because it is money. And I don't mean like the traditional definition of money being a store of value, but I mean this is fractional currency that was already circulated, so it will work very well if you wanted to trade it to someone for toilet paper or food or fuel. They look like money, so it's easy to take with you to another country. If you travel by air, then you might be asked to declare if you have precious metals or a certain amount in cash. However, if you have 10 rolls of quarters, then you technically only have $100 of US currency with you. That's not enough to start a life with, but you might not have to declare that amount of cash if you travel in an emergency. I could literally continue to go on to talk about this for several days, but I'm going to end the video here. I hope you found that informative. Please check back in the future for more videos like this, and thank you very much for watching.